Chapter 8, Dumbledore's Army Reborn. The weeks following the Azkaban breakout were tense. Hogwarts buzzed with nervous energy, students huddling in groups, whispering about the latest rumors. Albus, Scorpius, and Rose had been busy, carefully, recruiting trusted students for their secret defense group. One chilly December evening, they gathered in the room of requirement for their first meeting. As students filed in, Albus felt a mix of excitement and apprehension. "Welcome, everyone," he began, his voice slightly shaky. "Thanks for coming. We're here because the world outside these walls is getting darker, and we need to be prepared." Rose stepped forward. "We're not saying we're going to fight Death Eaters or anything like that, but knowledge is power, and the more we know about defending ourselves, the better off we'll be. And maybe," Scorpius added, "we can help others too. If the worst happens, everyone will count." The group, about 20 students from various houses, listened intently. Albus saw determination in their eyes, mixed with fear and curiosity. "So," Albus continued, gaining confidence, "we thought we'd start with basic defensive spells. Disarming, shielding, that sort of thing. Any questions before we begin?" A Hufflepuff fifth year raised her hand. "What are we calling ourselves, you know?" "In case we need to talk about the group without others knowing." Albus hesitated. He hadn't thought about a name. "How about Dumbledore's Army?" Rose suggested. "Like our parents' group." There were nods of agreement, but Scorpius spoke up. "Maybe we should have our own identity. We're not just copying our parents, we're doing this for ourselves." Albus considered this. "You're right. We need our own name. Any ideas?" After some discussion, they settled on Potter's Patrol. Albus felt uncomfortable being the namesake, but the others insisted. "You brought us together," a Ravenclaw boy pointed out. "It fits." With that decided, they began practicing. Albus, Rose, and Scorpius moved among the group, offering guidance and encouragement. By the end of the session, everyone had successfully disarmed a partner at least once. As the group dispersed, Albus felt a sense of accomplishment. They were doing something, taking action instead of just waiting and worrying. "That went well," Scorpius said, as they headed back to the Slytherin common room. "I think people really connected with that idea." Albus nodded, but before he could respond, a voice called out from a shadowy alcove. "Mr. Potter, Mr. Malfoy, a word please." They turned to see Professor McGonagall stepping into the light, her expression unreadable. Albus felt his heart race. Had they been discovered already? "My office, if you please," McGonagall said, turning on her heel. As they followed her through the quiet corridors, Albus and Scorpius exchanged worried glances. In her office, McGonagall settled behind her desk, fixing them with a piercing stare. "I understand you've formed a study group," she said, her tone neutral. Albus swallowed hard. "Professor, McGonagall held up a hand. "Before you attempt any explanations, Mr. Potter, let me be clear. I am aware of the nature of your group. I am also aware of its necessity." Albus blinked in surprise. This wasn't the reprimand he'd been expecting. "However," McGonagall continued, "I must insist on certain precautions. Your activities must not interfere with your studies or break any school rules. And above all, you must be discreet. The last thing we need is panic spreading through the school." "You're not going to stop us?" Scorpius asked, sounding as surprised as Albus felt. McGonagall's expression softened slightly. "Mr. Malfoy, I have lived through 2 wizarding wars. I have seen students rise to face challenges that would daunt many adult wizards. I would be remiss in my duties as an educator if I did not support students seeking to better defend themselves and others." She paused, her gaze intense. "But I want you both to understand the seriousness of what you're undertaking. This is not a game or a way to prove yourselves. The skills you're learning could one day save lives, including your own." Albus nodded solemnly. "We understand, Professor. We're taking this very seriously." "Good," McGonagall said. "Now, I believe it's past curfew. Back to your dormitory, both of you." As they left McGonagall's office, Albus felt a mix of relief and renewed determination. They had tacit approval from the headmistress herself. This wasn't just a student club anymore. It was practically an official resistance. Over the next few weeks, Potter's patrol met regularly. They practiced defensive spells, studied magical creatures they might encounter, and even began learning basic healing charms. Albus was surprised to find he had a talent for teaching, able to break down complex spells into understandable steps. As the Christmas holidays approached, tension in the wizarding world continued to mount. There had been no further breakouts, but the Daily Prophet reported several sightings of the escaped Death Eaters. The ministry seemed to be always one step behind. On the last day of term, as students prepared to board the Hogwarts Express, Albus received an owl from his father. Dear Al, I hope this letter finds you well. I know things have been difficult lately, with all the uncertainty in our world. I want you to know how proud I am of you. Professor McGonagall has informed me of your study group. While I worry about you, as any father would, I'd also understand the need to take action. Your mother and I have discussed it, and we've decided you should stay at Hogwarts for Christmas this year. It's the safest place for you right now. I'm sorry we won't be together, but please know it's for the best. Keep your friends close, all. Trust in each other. And remember, you're not alone in this fight. Stay safe. We love you. Dad, P.S. Your mother says to remind you to wear your warm socks. Apparently, it's going to be a cold winter. Albus read the letter twice, a lump forming in his throat. He understood the reasoning, but the thought of spending Christmas away from his family was hard to bear. Everything okay? Scorpius asked, noticing his friend's expression. Albus handed him the letter. As Scorpius read, his face fell. Oh, Al, I'm sorry. It's fine, Albus said, trying to sound nonchalant. It's safer this way. Scorpius was quiet for a moment. Then, I'll stay too. My dad's away on business anyway. We can have Christmas together. Albus looked at his friend, feeling a rush of gratitude. You don't have to do that. I know, Scorpius said with a smile. I want to. As they watched their classmates board the train, Albus felt a mix of emotions. Sadness at being separated from his family, worry about the dangers they might face, but also a sense of purpose. He was where he needed to be, doing what needed to be done. Come on, he said to Scorpius. Let's go plan our next patrol meeting. We've got a lot of work to do. As they walked back to the castle, snow beginning to fall around them, Albus felt a renewed sense of determination. Whatever the new year might bring, they would face it together. Potter's patrol would be ready.